Oh, good afternoon to you. It's been a while since I've been on here making any videos, and as you know, I've been recovering from a flu, a sinus infection, and these things slow you down. They tend to pull you down sometimes as well. They tend to make you feel that there isn't much that you really want to do. And it gets to a point, though, where you have to kick against it. And you have to say, no, I am improving. I'm getting on, and it's time to get back in the saddle, as it were. I hadn't intended to make this video this morning, but I just came into the church here. I haven't been in here now for quite a while. And I just opened up at Acts chapter 9. And I thought I'd share something with you that just came to my mind here. I think I've probably spoken on this before, but I suppose lots of things have been spoken about before, haven't they, in the scriptures, various different ways. But sometimes God just wants to remind us of things, bring things to our minds and our hearts. And Acts chapter 9, of course, is Saul's encounter with Jesus on the road to Damascus. And I was struck, really, I suppose, by the fact that Paul went from, or Saul at that time, went from one extreme to the other. As it says here, it's verse 3, isn't it? No, I'll go from verse 1, sorry, I'll just go from verse 1. And Saul, yet breathing out threatenings and slaughter against the disciples of the Lord, went unto the high priest. He had murder in his heart, didn't he? And desired of him letters to Damascus, to the synagogues, that if he found any of this way, whether they were men or women, he might bring them bound unto Jerusalem. Paul's zeal was just unbounded, wasn't it? He was so determined that anything that he thought was against the truth of the God of Israel had to be destroyed. And as he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly there shined round about him a light from heaven. He thought he was in the light, didn't he? But yet he was about to realize something. And he fell to the earth and heard a voice saying unto him, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? And he said, Who art thou, Lord? Interesting that he used the term Lord. He knew that he'd encountered someone, something, on a scale that his inner heart could only respond with the word Lord. And the Lord said, I am Jesus. Not many places in the scripture where Jesus actually says, I am Jesus, in reference to the Lord, whom thou persecutest. It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks. And he, Saul, trembling and astonished, said, Lord. Note, he said, Lord. There was no questioning, was there? He didn't think to himself, I've seen an illusion here. I'm persecuting those who follow Jesus. His response was, Lord. A recognition was in his heart already. And the Lord said unto him, so no, just back up here a little bit. And he trembling and astonished said, Lord, what wilt thou have me to do? Already he was converted. Already he knew the truth, because he was a man of truth. And he wanted to bring consequences against people who didn't know the truth, as he understood the truth at the time. The Lord said unto him, Arise, go into the city, and it shall be told thee what thou must do. And of course, we know what happened from there, how God laid the plan out to give a vision to Paul about Ananias coming and bringing him back his sight. And then Ananias coming. Everything was so meticulously planned out by Jesus. But what struck me this morning was Paul's heart. And of course it just brings to mind, I suppose, the terror that's been going on in the Middle East over the last few weeks. The kind of people that with a zeal for their so-called God came and murdered and slaughtered innocent people. But even amongst them, there will be those who would respond the way that Paul did if they knew the truth. And of course we know it's happening. We're hearing accounts of this, aren't we? How Jesus is revealing himself to Muslims. He reveals himself because he knows their hearts. He knows too the hearts that will remain black and dark. But he knows the hearts that will respond. And that's the privilege and the knowledge and the prerogative of God, is to know what goes on in the heart. And we, of course, will question it, won't we? We will say, how on earth, as they did with Paul, how on earth can this man be accepted after what he's done? And it's the same thing, isn't it? There will be those who turn to Christ, and people will say, how on earth can these people have turned to Christ? How true are they? How real are they? So God knows the hearts of each one of us. He knows how we're going to respond when we're called. He knows how we will, perhaps along the way, even as we walk with the Lord, how we'll have our ups and our downs and our turnings away. I heard an account yesterday. I was watching a video of, I don't know who the pastor was. I didn't catch the name. I just watched a little bit of the video. He was described as a mega church pastor. Some of you will possibly know who he is in America. And he wrote a book called Goodbye, Jesus, in which he spoke of having been brought up in the faith, of becoming a minister, having a large church, and then becoming disillusioned. And as he became more and more disillusioned, the final result was that he turned away from his faith. And not only turned away from his faith, he actually wrote a book, and call it apologetics, as to why he decided to turn his back on Jesus. The complete opposite. And even just looking at the title, Goodbye, Jesus, it just makes that grinding feeling in your spirit of how can somebody do that? So as much as hearts are turning to God, we also know that there's an aspect of going on now of, they call it deconstructionism, where people are turning away from God, turning away from the truth. So we're living in very perilous times, aren't we? We're living in times of great difficulty, great peril. And it's incumbent on us to say, Lord, help me not to go down any roads that you're not leading me down. Help me to stay strong in these days. I'm going to need your strength, because apart from you, Lord, I can do nothing. That should be our prayer. So I'll leave you with that word this morning. This afternoon, I should say. Just turned past 12 o'clock. And we shall speak soon again. Have a blessed day.